No, she doesn't like attention. Stand up. Renee's the one. Renee works. No, she doesn't like attention. Stand up. Renee's. No, she doesn't like attention. Stand up. Renee's the one. Renee works. No, she doesn't like attention. Stand up. Renee's. No, she doesn't like attention. Stand up. Renee's the one. Renee works. No, she doesn't like attention. Stand up. Renee's the one. Renee works with Mayo Clinic, and she's the one that has been doing that. That has been setting up our expert speakers and kind of lining people up with the video that they go with, if you will. And so she's been a ton of help, not to mention a wonderful person to get to know. So my name's Valerie, I'm the executive director. Thank you for coming out tonight. This, I might sound a little biased, but has been the one that I've been looking forward to the most. I was up in St. Paul yesterday doing an interview with KSTP in the cities, and we were talking about this lecture tonight, and I said, you know, most people don't know that without the sisters there would be no Mayo Clinic, and they were just blown away, like they didn't know such a thing could even be possible. So I think even people here in Rochester don't always understand the importance of the sisters. So I'm very excited about this. Sister Tierney is going to be here and is going to talk to you a bit more after the really well done video. So thank you. If you need to use the restroom, for anyone that's new, it's kind of around the corner where you came in. And if you need to get up and stretch your legs a bit, you're welcome to walk around. The chairs aren't always the most comfortable. So thank you for coming. And as always, if the sound is not loud enough, please just give us a thumbs up and we'll make sure everyone can hear. So Sister Tierney, do you want to start with the video or do you want to say a few words?
And to say good evening, delighted to be here. Sister Marisa is with me. What I think is so interesting about this particular film in the Heritage series, this is the comprehensive history, really from that tornado in 1883, almost to today, where like last month it was the story of Charlie and Will. So you're going to get a wonderful history lesson, and the human part, both of the Mayo and the Franciscan family, I think comes through. Delighted to be here. I sort of have a passion for this.
All right. Yeah, I'll start now.
All right.
Here we go.
We'll go ahead and get started.
My brother and I started this adventure in medical education that is now known as the Mayo Foundation.
As a young man in medieval Italy, Francis of Assisi was no saint. Born to a wealthy merchant family and with a love of earthly pleasure, Francis yearned to be a soldier. But his life took a dramatic turn.
Francis was taken as a prisoner of war for a year over in Perugia, and his father was able to ransom him. And when he came back, all of his dreams of being a successful knight were diminishing, and he was floundering, a young man without purpose. And during that time, he came upon an icon, a painted version of the cross of Jesus Christ. And he had an encounter from Jesus on the cross saying, "Francis, can't you see my house is falling to ruins? Go rebuild my house."
At first, Francis thought this was a literal command to fix the rundown building where he heard the voice. Soon he realized it was a call for renewal in the church and the world. In response, he lived a life of poverty, simplicity, and service, yet always with a sense of joy. Shortly after his death, he was named a saint. More than 800 years later, his message still resonates with people from many cultures and walks of life.
For persons coming to Mayo and St. Mary's for healing, that the beauty of the creation around them is an important aspect of their healing. You look at the gardens, you walk out to the Peace Garden, and you have an access to beauty of creation. Very Franciscan.
Among the many lives that Francis touched was a young woman from an aristocratic family, Claire of Assisi.
Claire was very mindful of who Francis was. She heard Francis preach at the Cathedral of San Rufino, and her heart was just inflamed with joy that this man could make the gospel so alive for her. And so she wanted to follow him and to live in simplicity and freedom the way the friars were doing it.
The partnership between Francis and Claire would be expressed in the teamwork of Mother Alfred Mose with Dr. William Worrell Mayo and the Sisters of St. Francis with Mayo Clinic.
This is a story of a miracle of relationships, of Franciscan sisters and their Mayo colleagues who work together to serve patients. They face different challenges at different times, but their goal of caring for patients never wavered. As Sister Joseph Dempsey said, God bless the work of their hands.
Like Francis of Assisi, Mother Alfred Mose came from a successful merchant family. Named Maria when she was born in 1828, she grew up in Remich, Luxembourg. Work and faith were the hallmarks of her family.
The Mose family always had been strong on working. We had been workers of iron since the 17th century.
Maria and her sister Catherine felt called to serve a religious life in the New World. In 1851, when Maria was 22 and Catherine was 30, they left for America, never to see their parents or homeland again. Travel was hazardous. In the 1850s, it took 6 weeks to cross the Atlantic, and during that decade, 59 ships were lost at sea. But the Mose sisters arrived safely. 5 years earlier, a 27-year-old man with a questing spirit also set sail for a new life in America. William Worrell Mayo was born near Manchester, England, in 1819. English society was rigidly divided. Aristocrats and wealthy merchants held the power, while most people, including children, worked in harsh conditions. Manchester at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution was torn by political and social unrest. Workers demanded economic rights and government reform. Young Mayo received a solid education. He studied chemistry and was tutored by John Dalton, the famous English scientist. Dalton, a devout Quaker, developed the periodic table of elements. He modeled the values of tolerance among religions and respect between men and women. Once in America, the Mose sisters entered religious life. Maria became Sister Alfred, and Catherine became Sister Barbara. Sister Alfred was a natural leader, but the church hierarchy did not value those qualities in women.
She was indomitable. It didn't matter what happened to her, she just kept going. And when she had a vision, it didn't matter how many setbacks she encountered, and she was asked to leave an order, she was removed as Mother Superior, I think twice, through very unfair circumstances. The bishop would just roll in and say, we're having an election, and oh, by the way, you're not one of the candidates. And she herself probably started the order.
Criticized for lack of religious spirit, she and Sister Barbara moved among several religious orders in Wisconsin, Indiana, and Illinois. William Worrell Mayo was on the move too. After arriving in New York City, he worked briefly at Bellevue Hospital. It was a terrible place, full of neglect, corruption, and incompetence. During this time, patients viewed hospitals with apprehension. Hospitals were places to go to die. He would remember and learn from his experiences at Bellevue. Traveling on, he married and resumed his scientific studies. He earned 2 medical degrees when most physicians had no formal training. In 1854, Dr. Mayo relocated his family to Minnesota. During the Civil War, they settled in Rochester, where he got a job examining recruits for the Union Army. Also during the Civil War, Sister Alfred and Sister Barbara affiliated with Franciscans. One of the great mysteries of this story is that we don't know why they chose to become Franciscans, but the Franciscan values proved ideal for their work. After being demoted and dismissed from other religious orders, Sister Alfred established her own congregation in Joliet, Illinois. As the leader, she was now Mother Alfred. Yet once again, she fell into disfavor with church leadership. Her response was to trust God, pray for her enemies, and move to Minnesota. Opportunity beckoned when she was invited to start a school and convent in Rochester. It was called the Academy of Our Lady of Lourdes. Mother Alfred was inspired by one of the major events of her generation, which still speaks to many people today: the apparition of the Virgin Mary to a young girl in Lourdes, France in 1858. Across town, Dr. Mayo was inspired by a very different event from the same time: the publication of The Origin of the Species by Charles Darwin in 1859. Dr. Mayo was Protestant, a man of science. Mother Alfred was Catholic, a woman of faith. On the surface, they had little in common, yet their journeys had brought them to a town on the prairie where a natural disaster made them partners in healing. On August 21st, 1883, a tornado struck Rochester, killing 37 people and injuring more than 200. Dr. Mayo helped care for the wounded survivors. Needing nurses, he turned to the Sisters of St. Francis. The suffering she saw triggered an idea in Mother Alfred. When the crisis had passed, she came to Dr. Mayo with an offer.
When Mother Alfred says we need a hospital, he only went to a hospital to die. Dr. Mayo was not in favor of a hospital because of that. But she convinced him, we'll build a hospital, you staff it. Something in that relationship. Both of them together did have a vision that this could go someplace.
For the next 4 years, Mother Alfred devoted herself to the project. She taught fine needlework, which she had learned in Europe, to the sisters. Through their handicrafts, music lessons, hard work, and frugality, they raised enough money to start the hospital.
So she went back to Dr. Mayo and said, here's the money, now what about the hospital? Well, he was a man of his honor, and he said it not only will be a hospital, it will be the best hospital money can buy.
St. Mary's Hospital opened on September 30th, 1889, with 27 beds. Everyone was welcome, regardless of color, sex, financial status, or religion. Mother Alfred was clear: the charity of the Sisters of St. Francis is as broad as their religion. The sisters believed that caring for each person, especially the poor, was at the heart of the gospel. The Mayos, inspired by humanitarian reasons, also believed in placing the needs of the patient first. Mother Alfred and Dr. Mayo launched the partnership, but it fell to future generations to carry out their vision. Dr. Mayo's sons, known to all as Dr. Will and Dr. Charlie, greatly expanded their father's practice.
Dr. Will and Dr. Charlie embraced antisepsis and then aseptic techniques and were able to introduce them into St. Mary's Hospital earlier than many other hospitals in the country.
The next superintendent of St. Mary's Hospital was Sister Joseph Dempsey. Sister Joseph was a petite woman with clear gray eyes and rosy cheeks that expressed her Irish ancestry. She took a warm and genuine interest in all the people she met, regardless of what position they held. But when there was work to be done, she was all business. She was a contemporary of the Mayo brothers, which gave the three of them a close bond. Together they had the passion to start what Dr. Will called an adventure in clinical medicine. Like the other sisters in the early days of St. Mary's Hospital, Sister Joseph had a strong work ethic that matched her deep faith. At first it was difficult for Sister Joseph, who began her career as a grade school principal, to work in a hospital. Edith Graham, a professional nurse who taught the original sisters, recalled,
Sister Joseph was asked to assist at the examination of a male subject whose body was uncovered for observation. She protested vehemently that she could not do such work, but she stayed on. and quickly learned the lesson that the needs of human suffering transcend the dictates of modesty.
Sister Joseph developed a talent for the operating room. Dr. Will recognized her unusual ability and chose her over a physician as his first assistant. Sister Joseph was so skilled that when Dr. Will talked to visiting physicians in the gallery, she often continued the operation. With her small hands and perceptive touch, she was the first person to call attention to a nodule that signals abdominal cancer. Sister Joseph's nodule is now part of the medical literature. Sister Theodora Mikolai was another legend in the operating room. Her career spanned 50 years.
We put in some long days. We boiled surgical gloves, cut sponges, and even made sutures from horsehair.
Sister Theodora Mikolai.
They worked hard. They got up early in the morning, worked hard all day, and at night too. I'm sure they were very tired. Beginning sisters were very frugal in their savings, and I love to look at those books because they'll say we bought a soup bone for 15 cents for the patients and the sisters.
At one time in the early 1900s, St. Mary's Hospital was the busiest private surgical hospital in the country. The expansion of St. Mary's, which was continuing to happen, couldn't even keep up with their patient demand. They partnered with Mr. Kaler, who had first started some convalescent hospitals, and over time, these all finally coalesced into what we know as Rochester Methodist Hospital today.
When the time was right, Sister Joseph moved forward with plans for the world's most advanced surgical center of its time. More than 4,000 guests attended the dedication in 1922. Dr. Henry Plummer said, "Only someone of great genius and faith would dare to double the size of this already great hospital. The Sisters of St. Francis did it." After receiving a standing ovation, a reluctant Sister Joseph came forward.
My very dear friends, I do not deserve the plaudits given to me tonight, but I will take them to distribute them among the sisters with whom I have worked for so many years to make St. Mary's Hospital a house of God and a gateway to heaven for his many suffering children.
As the hospital grew, so did the need for nurses. St. Mary's School of Nursing opened in 1906. By 1914, the 2-year curriculum was expanded to 3 years. In 1918, Sister Domitilla de Rocher enrolled at Columbia University in New York City. She became one of the first American sisters to earn an advanced degree in nursing. Later, as educational director of the St. Mary's School of Nursing, Sister Domitilla made many changes. She improved the curriculum, augmented lectures with classroom discussions, introduced laboratory work, and built bridges between religious and secular nursing groups. The St. Mary's Farm played a vital role for more than 60 years. Raising their own livestock, fruit, and vegetables helped the sisters provide fresh food of the highest quality to their beloved patients. For many sisters, working on the farm was an extension of their rural roots.
I think the fact that most of the sisters came from farms and small towns in the Midwest had a tremendous impact on their work ethic and on the hospital.
It wasn't all work for the sisters. They were welcome guests aboard Dr. Will's 3 riverboats, the Orinoco, Minnesota, and North Star. Excursions along the Mississippi River were a delightful change in routine. As the building boom continued, the Mayos designed a clinic building to integrate under one roof the activities of patient care, research, and education. The Plummer Building stands as a monument to the Mayo's comprehensive approach to medicine. They created the world's first multi-specialty integrated group practice, which became a medical model. Sister Fabian Halloran was a guiding light for patient care. By her example, she taught the sisters how to persevere through any obstacle, while at the same time, she showed compassion and caring, going the extra mile and beyond for patients. Bringing food to loved ones who waited at the bedside, praying with those in fear, checking in just one more time, holding a patient's hand through the long night hours.
She was always very concerned that everybody had a glass of milk when they came in, or they had a comfortable chair, or things were just right. And that was so much Sister Fabian.
Mayo physicians were equally dedicated. The sisters like to tell the story of Dr. Christopher Graham, which took place during World War I, when doctors were in short supply.
Here on my list are the names of 200 people whom I must see first because they are poor and cannot stand the expense of waiting for medical help.
The Mayos believed that optimal care was possible when specialists worked together in serving the patient. To secure the future of the clinic, the Mayo brothers and their wives converted the private practice into a not-for-profit organization with a salaried staff. And they added to this gift a significant amount of their personal savings. In the 1920s, their gift was valued at more than $10 million. This generosity sprang from the deeply held values of the Mayo family.
Any man who has a better opportunity than others, greater strength of mind, body, or character, owes something to those who have not been so provided. That is, the important thing in life is not to accomplish for oneself alone, but for each to carry his share of collective responsibility.
Mayo Clinic and St. Mary's Hospital would need to draw upon those ideals during the grim years of the Great Depression. Harry Harwick, Mayo Clinic's legendary chief administrator, described the Great Depression as the most difficult, but also the most unifying time in Mayo's history. Unlike other organizations, there were no mass layoffs. In a spirit of shared sacrifice, staff members took a salary cut, and Mayo Clinic offered lenient terms for patients to pay their bills. As the crisis spread, patient visits dropped more than 40%. Hungry people came to the hospital begging for food. Sister Joseph refused to turn anyone away. Things got worse. The religious congregation to which the hospital belonged had debts that required payment. Then the congregation's broker stole $350,000. The sisters were in a desperate situation. At this point, Sister Adele O'Neill stepped forward. Equipped only with the knowledge she learned from her father's small business, she and Sister Rita Rashapi worked to get the congregation's finances back on sound footing. For the next several months, twice a week, they took the night train from Rochester to Chicago. They arrived in the morning, went to Mass, and spent the day calling creditors. Any one of them could have thrown us into bankruptcy, Sister Adele said. But through faith and acumen, they prevailed. We were our own brokers, she recalled, quickly adding, but we never missed our prayers. In 1936, the Franciscan sisters received more bad news. A wing at St. Mary's Hospital was going to be condemned by the city because of fire code violations. This announcement was a potentially lethal blow. The hospital needed a new building, but finding the money seemed impossible. The sisters were unshaken in their faith. Mother Aquinas Norton, leader of the congregation, said,
"All things are accomplished by prayer and fasting. God knows our difficulty and our need in this problem that is confronting our congregation. He will not turn a deaf ear to our earnest, sincere, and fervent petitions."
The petitions were answered by way of loans that the congregation negotiated with banks in Chicago and Milwaukee. But as St. Mary's looked ahead, an era was ending. After 47 years of leading the hospital, Sister Joseph died in March 1939, followed by Dr. Charlie in May and Dr. Will in July. The loss of these three pioneers amid the gathering storm of World War II was a tremendous blow. Yet so carefully had they planned, and so graciously had they welcomed younger colleagues to positions of leadership, that Mayo Clinic and St. Mary's Hospital went forward with confidence. In fact, the years of greatest growth were yet to come. On September 30th, 1939, St. Mary's broke ground for a new facility, later named the Francis Building, in honor of the sisters. The new administrator, Sister Domitilla de Rocher, came from an established, prosperous family. As a leader, she inspired respect. She said, "You know, I never talk when I'm working. I never talk much when I'm not working." Yet she was also an accomplished cook and a gracious hostess with a keen sense of humor. She overcame her reserve when teaching or speaking in public. To lighten the mood at a national nursing convention, she quoted this prayer from the newspaper comics.
Oh God, give me the strength to brush my teeth every night. But if you can't give me strength to brush my teeth every night, please God, give me strength not to worry about it.
Sister Domitilla reorganized and centralized many functions of the hospital, including the personnel, accounting, and purchasing departments. For the first time, she hired laymen to lead these services. In 1941, under her careful watch, the new medical building opened, adding 375 new beds to the hospital. It made St. Mary's the largest private hospital in the world, with more than 860 beds. As World War II raged, hundreds of Mayo Clinic doctors and nurses volunteered for service. The war put a tremendous burden on those who remained in Rochester. Dr. O.T. Claggett, a Mayo Clinic surgeon, wrote,
I believe my longest surgical list in one day was 23 major operations. Lists of 15 to 20 operations were almost routine.
World War II transformed medicine with new drugs such as penicillin and innovative methods of surgery. Mayo Clinic and St. Mary's Hospital were at the forefront.
I first met the Sisters of St. Francis in September of 1948 when I was stricken with polio. And I will never forget the love and the compassion and skill that the sisters showed from the very beginning.
Sister Antoine Murphy, who worked on the vascular floor of St. Mary's, was responsible for medical emergencies. She piloted the concept of nursing teams. Each team of nurses served a designated group of patients. The program soon became standard practice. The post-war era brought its own challenges. To help ease the nursing shortage, Sister Domitilla founded St. Mary's Practical School of Nursing in 1948. When she retired in 1949, St. Mary's was ready for the new era. In receiving an illuminated scroll from the Mayo Clinic Board of Governors for her extraordinary service, she said,
The accomplishments you so generously ascribe to my efforts resulted from the encouragement and support of my superiors and the cooperation of my fellow workers. As spiritual writers frequently say, some of us are poor instruments, but in proficient hands.
These years were the high point of growth for the Franciscan sisters, as unprecedented numbers of young women joined the congregation. In 1962, there were 955 Rochester Franciscans. The leader of St. Mary's Hospital at this time was Sister Mary Bry Cassidy. With her expertise in nursing and business, she was a consummate administrator. She was a gentlewoman with Irish chutzpah.
I think the philosophy of St. Mary has always been a philosophy of service. We believe that every human being is important, and that in taking care of people, giving them physical, mental, and spiritual care, we are serving God.
Sister Mary Bry was also a gifted poet. One poem describes how faith was her foundation.
Each of us has experienced private moments of healing. We see a lovely sunset and our hearts grow lighter. We feel a brisk breeze on an autumn morning and we are invigorated. We experience the touch of someone who loves us and our weariness disappears. Each moment that we interact with our environment can be therapeutic or detrimental to our health and our well-being. So it is that the true mission of a hospital must be not only to treat a specific illness, but to care for the whole person, to delight the senses, to provide a warm, comforting environment, to minister to the spirit.
The number of new sisters joining the congregation created the need for a larger place to live. The new location was on a hill with a commanding view of Rochester, 138 acres, including an extensive apple orchard that was developed by Dr. Lewis Wilson, a Mayo Clinic physician. The new mother house, named Assisi Heights, was dedicated on October 4th, 1955. Its architectural design brought the Franciscans' Italian heritage to Minnesota. Under Sister Mary Bry's leadership, St. Mary's Hospital experienced another construction boom. as Mayo Clinic requested space for expanding research and clinical studies. The Alfred Building, named in honor of Mother Alfred Mose, had sophisticated laboratories. Even more important was the spirit of collegiality and teamwork.
We were peers and specialists. Unlike physicians throughout the country, careful to protect themselves and fearful of criticism, we were able to admit ignorance to each other, accept the fact that we made mistakes, and support each other in this process. Our goal was to get the patient well.
Dr. Richard Reidemeyer. There were many other innovations. St. Mary's became one of the first general hospitals in the nation to admit psychiatric patients. Sister Helen Hayes pioneered a hospital service for the new Mayo specialty. Later, working with Rochester Methodist Hospital, Sister Helen expanded the chaplaincy program and included chaplains of many faiths. Open heart surgery, which began at Rochester Methodist Hospital, moved to St. Mary's.
This program is presented live in cooperation with the American Medical Association.
I'm Quincy Howe, and standing beside me is Dr. John Kirkland, one of the surgeons at the Mayo Clinic. This evening, Dr. Kirkland and a group of his colleagues and associates here are going to take us on an extraordinary journey, a journey through the human heart. I know this sounds really fantastic, but it has been made possible as a result of the extraordinary progress made in modern surgery, whereby the surgeon's knife can operate inside the heart of a living human being.
Everybody was there, you know, his assistants, Dr. Kirkland, all of his physiologists, Dr. Swan, Dr. Wood, they were all there putting in needles and stuff. And the pump boys were getting the machine primed and everything. I went over there about 4 o'clock in the morning, and Dr. Kirkland's first assistant was already there. And we were getting everything already, and then the pump boys came. Dr. Kirkland came very early. And it was just, everybody was doing everything, you know, to get ready. And then I think we started the operation about 8 o'clock, and it lasted until about 3.
The patient was always the silent mission. Each of us was a link in the chain. One success was always latched on the work of someone else. It would have been unthinkable to say this was my success alone, or I was the one responsible for that. It was always our patients, our hospital, our medical center. Sister Cashel Weiler. In 1956, Sister Mary Bry wrote the directive for the creation of an intensive care unit, which was one of America's first ICUs. Emergency treatment may mean the difference between life and death. The intensive care unit concentrates in one area the patients needing expert care, the personnel qualified to give that care, and special equipment needed to give it, in a manner that no ordinary hospital has or can duplicate. Sister Mary Bry Cassidy. The close cooperation between the Franciscan sisters and their Mayo Clinic colleagues enabled staff members to be their best in serving patients and advancing medical science.
As medical care advanced here at the Mayo Clinic, we knew that we had to upgrade our staff. So we turned to the College of St. Teresa in Winona and collaborated with them in bringing baccalaureate nurses to St. Mary's and ultimately to the world.
I was amazed by the operation of St. Mary's Hospital. Every operation hummed with talented staffs who obviously were dedicated to the welfare of the patient. The secret of this success was due, without question, to the Sisters of St. Francis.
Dr. Donald McElrath.
The patient comes first. It did for Sister Mary Bry and Sister Generose, and that's a wonderful contribution to have them feel this way, because then everybody worked toward that goal.
Yet as the hospital flourished, the Sisters of St. Francis and their work at St. Mary's Hospital faced an existential challenge. Despite sweeping changes in society, religious life had not changed over the centuries. Sisters followed ancient, rigid rules that governed virtually every aspect of their lives. After the Second Vatican Council in the 1960s, the sisters developed a new understanding of their calling. Now the sisters could decide what they wore, with whom they lived, and where they worked.
I have been an educator all my life. And I feel that education depends on, and quality education depends upon quality teaching. that made me realize I needed to work for the poor more directly than in the education system in the United States. So when people ask me, why do you keep doing this? I say, well, the Holy Spirit dries my feet and I go.
In the 1960s, the Franciscans brought their commitment to education and health to a new location, Bogota, Colombia, starting a ministry that continues today.
I believe that our schools are really Franciscan communities with the leadership that the sisters have offered with like-minded persons who have that same spirit. That has really been the basis for how these Franciscan values are alive. And that's why our connection with the Mayo Clinic has been so wonderful, because obviously the Mayo culture is totally geared toward that kind of service as well. It's not simply reading, writing, and arithmetic or making it to graduation. It's about becoming better people.
The basic thing about the school that makes it so different about others, it concentrates on you being a better person, on being aware of those who are around you, and not just, trying to get good grades or graduating or moving on in life. It's about other people and how you can help them, and it's about your faith.
At this time, fewer women were entering religious life, and many sisters, including those who held leadership positions, left the hospital. Sister Mary Bry took bold action to ensure the hospital's future. Drawing on a long tradition, she looked to lay people to fill key roles at the hospital. She established a board of trustees, which included lay leaders from Mayo Clinic and the community. Following the example of Rochester Methodist Hospital, she established an auxiliary that continues to play a vital role in the quality of life at St. Mary's. In 1971, Sister Mary Bry announced her retirement. Reflecting on her life, she wrote, "Not a particularly courageous person, I grew in self-confidence and courage to take on difficult responsibilities because I knew that was the work God wanted me to do, and that He would help me find the right answer, the needed assistance, often in places I would have not expected them." Following 17 years as Sister Mary Bry's assistant administrator, Sister Jenna Rose Gervais now led St. Mary's Hospital. Intelligent, plain-spoken, and direct, she had a passion for efficiency and an engineer's eye for detail.
She was a very hands-on administrator, and one of the things about Sister Jenna Rose is that she believed every employee's job was important. And I can attest, she treated the individuals who were mopping the floors and serving the food just as she treated the surgeons. She treated them exactly the same.
During the 1970s, Sister Jenna Rose helped manage the largest building project in the hospital's history. Completed in 1980, the building would be named in honor of her predecessor, Sister Mary Bry Cassidy. The new building had 40 new operating rooms and a surgical suite that spanned 2 football fields. With a cost of $55 million, it was the largest hospital building project in Minnesota.
People close at home don't realize what we have is a gift to our community. And I believe that goes way back. I believe that Mother Alfred started the first hospital. And the mayor of the city reminded the people that that was a gift to the people of Rochester. And I think the same is true today. The medical center we have, the expertise we have, the research we can do, I think, is a gift to our city and to the world.
In her career, Sister Jenna Rose received many awards for her accomplishments. One of her most enduring contributions is the Poverello Foundation. Poverello is Italian for the poor little man, the name often given to St. Francis. The foundation's goal is to ease the burden of patients who need financial support for the care they receive at St. Mary's Hospital. Expansion continued at St. Mary's with the Jenna Rose Building for psychiatric patients, a peace garden, multicultural meditation room, children's hospital, and helicopter service extended St. Mary's service in many ways. Amid rapid changes in healthcare, St. Mary's Hospital, Rochester Methodist Hospital, and Mayo Clinic agreed to form a single organization in 1986. But questions remained. How could St. Mary's ensure that Franciscan values would continue at the hospital and as part of the Mayo Clinic culture? Dr. Eugene Mayberry, chief executive of Mayo Clinic at the time, said, "We know who we are with the sisters, but we don't know who we'd be without them." As always, the sisters looked ahead with faith, practicality, and confidence.
Fortunately for me, at one point I was allowed to be a member of the sponsorship board, and it was as though all those characteristics of the Mayo Clinic were distilled into a very strong version of this wonderful quality, and it was a quality of hospitality and caring and an intelligent kind of perspective on how to treat the patients. And in fact, the sponsorship board actually reviews different parts of the clinic to ensure that the Franciscan values are present.
The sponsorship board offers a wide range of educational programs and other services to keep the Franciscan Mayo values alive and relevant for each generation. Each year, the sponsorship board invites a diverse group of Mayo Clinic leaders on a pilgrimage to Assisi, Italy. Through study and fellowship, leaders reflect on the heritage of St. Francis and St. Clare and how to apply their values in 21st century medicine.
So that's what Assisi does. It brings a group of people together for 5 to 6 or 7 days. You really get to know each other. You really get to build trust based on a shared experience, and you can bring that back then to the organization and to serve the patients.
Mayo Clinic has grown far beyond Rochester, Minnesota, but the values that the Franciscan sisters and the Mayo brothers developed more than a century ago remain vital to our work.
So when you look at something like the prayer of St. Francis and the values that that prayer represents, it starts to let you consider how did that influence us as an organization, where there is hatred, let me sow love, where there is injury, pardon, where there is doubt, faith, where there is error, truth.
Today, Franciscan sisters are active in a wide range of congregational and individual ministries. St. Mary's Hospital, schools and healthcare services in Bogota, Colombia, a retreat center that welcomes people from all walks of life in Janesville, Minnesota, the creative arts, humanitarian projects, advocacy, and help for people in need. In a new partnership that draws upon more than a century of collaboration, Assisi Heights now opens its doors to Mayo Clinic staff members for meetings and retreats. The Franciscans embrace change while remaining rooted to their core values.
Franciscans have to be joyful and happy in the moment. That to me is the most, I think, because that sums it all up. If you trust that somehow God is the center, you are the beautiful Psalm 16, you are all we have, you give us what we need, our lives are in your hands. If you trust that, you've got to be happy.
The Franciscan way for me, personally, is a pathway to fulfillment of my own life. I have such a desire to be with other people in ways that enliven them and give them meaning.
It's important that these values continue because they are the carrying out of the mission of Mother Alfred and the Brothers Mayo and all those physicians and nurses and allied health staff who follow them. Move forward with intent because these values of sponsorship are in your hands.
I'm proud of our institution. I love it. I've been here 60-some years. And although I said when I came, when I was a novice, I said if I would die if I was assigned to the hospital. Like you didn't die that easy and you can learn to love the things that you really need. By the grace of God, support of your personnel, the hard work, you can accomplish just about anything.
I want to share a piece. First of all, I am a teacher by profession. I taught 9 years at St. Francis Junior High Science, my very favorite age group, and then 31 years in Bogota, Colombia, in our 2 schools, our drop-in clinic. But when I was elected to leadership in 2006, served a 6-year term, and could not be immediately reelected. And at that time, Mary Elliott resigned as the sponsorship board coordinator. I was asked to take that job. So I had to learn a lot about St. Mary's, that part of our history, and a couple of pieces about that that's not in this film that I think are critical, and I'm going to say for who we are as Mayo Franciscan persons, because I think it's so critical in our foundation, and when you look at our world today, even more so. And first of all, I learned, well, I'm a chemistry, I'm a biology chemistry professor. And I learned that Dr. W.W. Mayo studied his chemistry under James Dalton, that's mentioned. Dalton was a Quaker, and W.W. Mayo was highly influenced by that Quaker belief. And I think there are 3 tenets of their faith that are so significant. Number 1, they believe that there's a part of God in each one of us, by whatever name you call God, that gives us our human dignity. Secondly, they believe that women are equal to men. And you think of W.W.'s respect for his wife Louise. Charlie is quoted in the doctor's mail saying, "My mother was almost equal to my father." Self-taught, when W.W. was out learning, she knew how to set bones. Patient came to her. Charlie and Will remember that they got to weed the herb garden, but I think that's so important. And another piece of their history, after he came to the United States, they lived in several places, and when they came to Minnesota, she said, "We are not moving anymore." There probably would be a Mayo Clinic, but it might not have been in Minnesota, his respect for his wife. And Mother Alfred, or the third thing, you best serve your brethren by helping them become all they're called to be. Respecting the gifts that Sister General's comments that each of us have been giving, and how in a shared teamwork, that's how you best. When I had my orientation for the sponsorship board, we had a 2.5-day orientation, and we're down in Phillips Hall, a couple hundred of new orientees. And somebody every 15 minutes came in to tell you something, about parking, about health care, or about child care, about this care, that care, and other care. And it was a gentleman from finance, Tripp remembers or recalled his name, who eyeballed us. He was from finance. And he said to us, "If you want to succeed at Mayo Clinic, work to assure that your colleagues succeed." A profound understanding of teamwork. That's the Quakers. Mother Alfred was a Franciscan. Francis called every living creature brother and sister. So their partnership, as the film points out, very different people, but what they had in the depths of their being was what founded our Mayo Franciscan partnership. And the other thing that I think is so relevant, he was from England, she was from Luxembourg, this little bitty country. Totally different histories, customs, cultures. She spoke French and German. He spoke English. And yet it wasn't, it wasn't that how they were different, it didn't divide them. They became mutually enriched in how they were different. Think of our world today and the terrible divisions that describe us. And the third thing, when St. Mary's Hospital opened in 1889, at that dedication, this is textual, Mother Alfred said, "This hospital will be open to anyone. It didn't matter your language, your culture, your faith belief, your religious, your financial status." 25 years later, when Mayo built its first building downtown, at that dedication, Will quoted almost word for word, opened, it's been our desire, speaking he and Charlie, to provide good medical and surgical care to anyone. It didn't matter your culture, your religion, your financial status, all meeting on a common ground. I believe that's part of the DNA of our Rochester Franciscan Partnership. And I think our world needs it, if not more today, certainly as much. I learned that, and I think it's important to share it. Anyway, so I don't know if there are any questions, comments. I'll do my best. Or I've got our archivist here, Sister Marisa. Go ahead. I'll repeat the question so everybody can hear.
I just wanted to mention something about Sister Generals. I worked in food service at St. Mary's for 42 years.
She worked in food service at St. Mary's 42 years.
And you're right about her. She'd come in and talk to all of us like we were just always so nice.
She'd come in and talk to all of us. She was always so nice. And it was Generals, the last sister administrator, who said, first of all, prior to her, Sister Mary Beth had said, as we move into the future, we cannot lose the good things of the past. And Generals follow that, if you will, by saying, we cannot be content with what has been. We must have the vision, the courage, and the faith to see what can and must become. And go ahead.
She didn't let anything go to waste.
We are. She never let anything go. She worked in the dietary. Nothing was left in the cans. She did not waste anything. Go ahead.
I'm reading the book now about the sisters. Is it the purple book, The Sister's Story?
Here's two.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. And when I got carpal tunnel, Dr. Rizzo was telling me how the sisters would go to bed sometimes at midnight and get up at 2 to start the days. And in the book it talks about, they didn't have elevators, so the sisters had to carry the water 3 flights or how many flights, and then the sewage had to come down by the pails, and they'd stand out with the lanterns and let the doctors know where they were when they came in the middle of the night. I mean, those stories. Can you comment on any of them?
She's talking about that the sisters would go to bed at midnight and get up at 2. Some of them did to do the laundry, I know that. And that they didn't have elevators, so they had to carry the water up 3 floors, sewage down 3 floors. They used lanterns so that the doctors would know where they were. Gerald and Henrietta Rowenhorst. I was elected to leadership in 2006. I just come back from Bogota. And in July, the first month, Matt Dacey had, Mrs. Rowenhorst was ill at that time, but he was there and they were having a dinner for him and out at Assisi Heights. And whoever was going to give some kind of presentation couldn't make it or got sick. So Ellen was in the process of writing her 2 books. And so they asked Ellen to come and share that with him. He stood up at that dinner and said, this has got to be supported, and offered $1 million, not offered, he gave literally $1 million to fund that story. So that's a connection, yes, between her writings and the film. She comments in that book, I think it's a profound statement. She said it was the needs of suffering humanity that brought W.W. and Mother Alfred together and forged a permanent partnership. It's alive today. It's alive today. Go ahead.
I like to think of the Sisters of St. Francis as the spiritual oxygen tank for this enterprise of Mayo. I wonder what needs to be done to keep that oxygen flow continuing.
Good question.
He's saying that he thinks of the sisters as being the spiritual oxygen of this partnership. What needs to happen to keep that oxygen tank alive? Boy, if you've got the answer, we'll listen. Well, I think not simplistically either, right? Mother Alfred's favorite prayer was Psalm 37. Commit your way to the Lord, trust in God, and God will act. We have officially recognized in our congregation, we are not any longer receiving new members. We're coming to completion. But that's all part of God's plan, how this will happen. But I think the creation, what happened in the integration with Dr. Mayberry in 1986 of the two hospitals and St. Mary and the clinic, in that a sponsorship board was created whereby the two hospitals remained separately licensed, and St. Mary's continued to be identified as a Catholic hospital and committed to following the Catholic ethical and religious directives. And there's a real plan, that still happens today. So that part was protecting the Catholic identity at a time Sister Mary Bry had already created the lay people on the board. A lot of things were being transferred, if you will, not just in the sisters' hands, but to lay persons. And then in 20, I began as the sponsorship coordinator in July of 2012, and by 2014 there was no question it was necessary that both of the hospitals become one licensed Mayo Clinic hospital. And at that time, again, there is a structure, if you will, for the two campuses. The St. Mary's campus continues to support the Catholic ethical and religious directives because all services are available between the two campuses. So that kind of, when I talk about the partnership continues, the form shifts, but the partnership isn't lost in it. And I think part of the pilgrimage program and our sisters endowed that annual pilgrimage to CZ, and it was sending 10 upper level leadership, I think that was 1997. And then when the two hospitals became one, that was, up until that time, it was people from St. Mary's, leaders from St. Mary's that went on that pilgrimage. Now there's one Mayo Clinic hospital. So I think the first pilgrimage was 2012, where 4 from Rochester, 2 from Arizona, 2 from Florida, and 2 from the health system were persons on that pilgrimage. It has been increased by 2 more, a person from research and a person from education. So the spirit, but I think if you caught something about the importance of these future generations carried on, I trust that part of if you want your institution to continue, you make way. And if you did catch, in 1939, one of the most serious, that terrible depression, in March, Sister Joseph died. In May, Charlie died. And Will died in July. And there are newspaper articles that say end of Mayo Clinic because the triumvirate of the leadership died within, 5 months of each other. But that was in 39. Oh yeah, so, okay, thank you. What followed when that, now that integrate one Mayo Clinic hospital, Dr. Noseworthy asked us, us being several folk, to create an entity that would carry on the work of the sponsorship board. Primarily, they had created 3 committees, our education, research, patient care, our SHIELD, and the annual pilgrimage, and the patient care did values review the departments. And he said, create an entity that will continue the work of the sponsorship board. That's the Mayo Clinic Values Council today. And the values that we describe as our Mayo values, which I think the text of those challenge us, they were created, Mr. Mary Elliott was one of those persons, and some people from Mayo. And those are our values today, alive, and the challenge that all of us, I keep going on, work to sustain that we don't lose if we lose our values, I think we become a different entity. And there's a lot of people committed to that. But the Mayo Clinic Values Council in particular, Dr. Riso is the medical chair and Tripp is the administrator. Go ahead.
How many sisters are still left here?
We of our congregation, as of this moment that we're aware of, we are 101. When I came into leadership in 2006, we were 300. Wow. Go ahead.
When did you close it? Did you remember? Or when was it
We made, in a religious congregation, every either 4 or 6 years, depending on your constitution, you must have a chapter. And a chapter is like Congress. It's the highest authority in the congregation, overriding leadership. You elect leadership to carry on between chapters. We had a chapter this fall, the first part, a chapter of affairs, and we'll complete that in April. And I'm part of that leadership team. We complete our term in June. And at our session in September, October, we officially made the determination that we will not be receiving new members. That we are coming to conclusion or to completion as our Rochester Franciscan congregation.
So that was just this year?
Pardon me? Yes, this fall.
All right, thank you.
We have, I believe our numbers that live at Assisi Heights are approximately 65. There are some of us, most live in the Minnesota area. We have a sister in Illinois, we have two in California, one in New Mexico. Most of them are, I think that's the only ones outside of the state.
Colorado and Bogota.
Bogota, we have one in Colorado and we have 2 in Bogota.
And how many are still at St. Mary's?
2. Bernadette and Cashel. And they've been there all their religious life. Bernadette's a dietitian. Cashel, you saw her picture. She was Dr. Kirkland in those first heart surgeries with children. That Cashel was part of that. Go ahead.
Many years ago, I had the opportunity to teach community ed classes, and we were able to teach the Colombian Army, the people from Colombia that came here to Rochester. And one day, we didn't do anything. I said, let's go for a ride. And they wanted to see Assisi Heights, and so I took off there and introduced them to whoever was in that day. And they were from Colombia. They said, oh my goodness, we have a place in Bogota, Colombia. And they were so excited because they could talk, they were there. So the question really is, did Mayo Clinic go to and recruit the people from Colombia, not recruit, but allow the Colombian Army to come up here for treatment from being blown up by the landmines in Colombia? Did they have a relationship with Assisi Heights at that time in the Franciscans?
That maybe you can help me on that one. We didn't sponsor that. It was some arrangement between Mayo Clinic. I don't know if anybody here knows that. We accepted some soldiers from the Army, not the guerrilla, or the paramilitary, from the Army that were, I don't know, Renee, do you know something about, I think it was short, but there were several Colombian soldiers who were received here and treated for medical care. Yeah. Serious injuries, if I'm not
very serious. I think I with them for 2 or 3 years, every Friday morning.
Okay, but I don't know. I think that was some arrangement between the government and Mayo. Yeah. We were not part of that. I lived through some of those very serious bombings. I know what that's like. Go ahead.
The sisters still have a Gaelic Grove out?
No, we sold Gaelic Grove about 10 years ago. Yes. That had been given to the sisters by a doctor, and I don't remember his name. Dr. Dodge. So that the sisters, we had like at one time there were 123 sisters living in St. Mary's, institutional living. And so he gave them that home out just, it's kind of right up the road here, as a place to get away and retreats and that.
This is a question about Assisi Heights. When I was in high school, we did a silent retreat there, and I remember seeing things that the general public doesn't get to see. And one of them was it was like a fallout shelter in the basement with a hospital.
Oh yes, I came to the community. I was a postulant. I entered in the fall of 1962. And they had created, there is first floor, and then there's ground, and then there's basement. And in that, we used to roller skate in the basement. In our long habit. Anyway, there were 1,000 cots set up. And at one end, there were 3 surgical tables set up. And I don't remember for how long, but it was part of that concern about a nuclear attack, and yes. And I don't quite remember how long they were set up, but quite a while.
What year was the film made?
Let me see, I got it. Yeah, Sarah, what, can you tell me what year? Okay.
2010.
2010. What year? She asked what year was that film made? 2010.
So I'm a Protestant, so I might have the wrong words, but when there were, was it 900 when a CC first opened that had 900 sisters? And then now it's no more members coming. Is there any place that are growing sisters? I guess that's what I mean.
Okay. First of all, and again, when I came in 1962, my laundry number, because we had to sew our laundry number on all our clothes, was 993. And we were almost 1,000 at one point. No, we're not receiving women. We get some people asking. But because of our numbers and our aging and our diminishment, we don't even have enough sisters to be the formation group that would begin to initiate a young woman into religious life. So that's a factor in saying we're coming to completion.
What about the priests?
What about the priests? I think you have to ask the priests. Go ahead.
Okay. This goes along with the silent retreats again. I remember going to one about 20 years ago, and I just have to thank you and all of the sisters who may be in heaven, and God obviously, but it was the most spiritual experience of my life. And some very profound things happened in my heart at that silent retreat. And one of the things, besides feeling God a lot there, is I could feel, I don't know how to explain this. It's like time stopped for 2 days. Time stopped for 2 days. And it was just me, God, and the nature. But then I could also feel the memories or the energy or the past at the same time with the sisters. And when you walk the hall in the silence and you see the pictures of all the sisters, it's almost like, it's like you could feel the past happening at the same time as when you were walking. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Can you hear what she's saying?
Yeah. And I'm just wondering, like, if you had any favorite memories of the sisters, or if anybody here has any memories of, because you could still feel the love they had for that place and the love they had for God. And I just wanted to say that.
She's asking if any of you have any particular memory of the sisters or being at Assisi Heights you'd like to share. Go ahead.
So when I was a pharmacist at St. Mary's Hospital, I was working on a shift at the clinic. And I was in the Donatil pharmacy. When I was going to the Joseph pharmacy, we had to take a cart with all our,
Why don't you come up and say that into the microphone?
Oh.
Come this way so you don't trip on 3 cords over here. That's not
Oh, this is just a short memory. This is my best memory, or my most favorite memory of generals. Sister Generals was a very generous and giving person. And I was a pharmacist at St. Mary's Hospital. I worked in the Donatil pharmacy. And we were just, we're closing up our shift. The shift ended at midnight. And we had a cart with all the supplies that we'd have to bring over to Methodist, all the charts and everything, patient charts. And I was rolling up a ramp, going to Joseph Pharmacy, because that was the only one open after midnight. And I met Sister Generals. She had been out in the garden. The garden was by the power plant, You know where that is?
Yeah.
And she was harvesting, and she had harvested cucumbers.
For her pickles, jams, and jelly.
Right, she was notorious for her wonderful jams and jellies, pickles. And she looked at me and said, "Do you have any little kids?" I said, "Yes, I have 4 little kids." And she said she had a wonderful cucumber that would have won a prize at the fair. Blue ribbon. And she gave it to me.
Yeah. Another thing she did on his wife, another thing she did is he came home with great.
She made her pickles, jams, and jellies at the end, at night usually. And that was part of the beginning to fund the Poverello Fund. And then Sister Lauren had her infinite number of last bazaars. That also contributed funds to the Poverello Fund. My last bazaar, I don't know how many times she said that. Go ahead.
Hey, I was assistant supervisor on the grounds downtown, and I had to work with Craig Smolt, and I love that he was in the video there, but I'm sure you guys had a big influence maybe in the church. We went to church with him in Autumn Ridge too, but he said the patients just love the flowers. We were maybe growing 5,000-6,000 then. Well, he said, go at it. I want flowers everywhere. So when you saw the big bloom of flowers in the 90s and on up, I mean, I think we were up to 30 or 35,000 that we were planting there. So it was quite a change for us, but we adapted, and he had the money to make it go for us. And the last thing that really moved me was in the Rosa Parks building when I think he was a part of getting that named in honor of her, and I saw him play Jesus in the play at Christmas at Autumn Ridge, and so I'm sure like you gals probably had a piece, you know. I just worked with him here and there a little bit on grounds projects, but yeah, it was really cool seeing him, and Dale Rustad too down at the Foundation House. We worked grounds with him too, so, but anyway, thanks for everything you did.
It's just mentioned, Dr. Wilson had an apple orchard. We had over 1,000 apple trees in that orchard, and he worked with something at the University of Minnesota. He grafted, you know, it was a little, you say an apple orchard, well, 1,000 trees is a lot of apples. We got to pick those. Full habit.
Every soup label and every coupon, any coupon we had, all free stuff.
In dietary, with Sister General, they had to keep every label, every coupon from reordering.
Some years ago, when I was with the Rochester Fire Department, then our station, our crew, got the assignment to do a pre-plan on the HCOC Heights. And it's a beautiful place. I went through there, I was just amazed, and kind of a student of architecture and stuff, and structural. We finally made our way up to the attic. And I didn't realize that when we got into the attic, that most buildings like that have a lot of structural wood in them. That's a steel and concrete building. Even the rafters in the attic, so what? It's steel and concrete beams, and you can walk in the attic floor, it's concrete. And I don't know who cleans that attic, but it's up there.
I think you could hear him, okay?
And then when we came down, it was kind of holiday time, and they had all these rooms decorated, and I just kind of offhandedly said, well, I'd sure love to bring my little girl out here and see the Christmas decorations. And some sister, I was knew her name. She says, well, come back on this day. So I got my little girl, and we went back, and she took me through room after room after room and showed my daughter. Every room there was decorated and themed different ways. You talk about the Christmas trees down there at the Mayo Civic Center. There was nothing. It was just amazing.
Those are our parlor section, and every year they're decorated, usually with a theme. Well, obviously I've enjoyed being with you. Thank you very much, you're a great audience. Our archivist, if we can be of any help or information, just give us a call or come.
Thank you so much. I also just want to let you know the two fabulous books that were referenced. We have them up at the counter if anyone is interested in purchasing them. We do have some available, so I had to put that plug in there. But thank you so much. This, I have to say, my favorite so far. I enjoyed seeing Dr. Carrie Olson with hair. That was so thank you very much. Thank you for coming. Have a wonderful evening, and hopefully we'll see you next month.